Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. I got that song stuck in my head now. I'm blinded by the light. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I'm feeling a lot better. I'm still not 100%. I'm feeling a lot better. It's still rough. What's not helped is that it's so dry because it's winter as well. So I need to set up the humidifier in here. It's very miserable. Very miserable. That's always the funniest part about winters. You'd think there'd be a lot of moisture because, you know, snow and everything, like snow and ice and all that stuff. No, all the moisture's sucked out of the atmosphere. So it's very dry. It sucks. Sucks. It's all so dry. Blech. Yeah, so we had a tornado that was south of us last night. Well, last afternoon. That makes the, you know, that's more accurate. Thankfully, I don't think it ever touched down, but they had a funnel. Radar, it was radar spotted first, and then it was a funnel, but it didn't touch down. So it wasn't enough force to go all the way. Thank goodness. So yeah, that was a nice way to spend the evening. And then we had massive wind advisories that are still in effect until, well, 7 hours from now. And after 7 more hours, then they'll lift the wind advisory. I mean, we're talking about some strong fucking winds. Holy shit. Sounded like a train was going by all night. It was wild. And the temperature plummeted. We had a little bit of a heat wave there. We were like 53 degrees. And the temperature went from 53 to like, what I think right now it's like 13 or something. A 40-degree swing in temperature. Holy moly. That's a pretty fucking nutty. Now, the good news was the wind was so strong and the storm had gone through earlier that we didn't get an ice storm. We didn't have one of those super dangerous fuck, what are they called? We almost had a sleet storm, which would have been terrible, but we didn't have one of those flash freezes. That's what it is. We didn't have a flash freeze. We could have, given how rapidly the temperature shifted, but thank goodness we didn't. But you can look out there, and there is ice all over the place, but it's not as bad as it could have been. Woofda. Yeah, the road, the vehicles, all that stuff like that's got a nice little bit of ice on it. Anyways, so today we have a few things planned, or I do at least. It's just going to be a relaxing day. I've been working more on the book. We are 156 pages now. 156. I finished off one chapter. We're starting a new one. I've shuffled the names around of the chapters. So chapter 10 is now named A Step Closer. Chapter 11 is Converging Paths. And chapter 12 is now Sabotage. So I think I want to get to where we're starting this. Okay, I'm trying to remember where we ended off last time. Pretty sure we did the Harkus checking in with the children. So I'll start here. Even if we've gone over it a little bit, we'll continue from here. On the flip side, several of the deputies came out to meet with the newly arriving convoy and guided them towards the ramp that led to the underground lot. For 3 of the members, it had been the first time they had set eyes on Point Crescent proper, with Alex being the one to give voice to the oddities of the town itself. Well, they've been busy. A lot of new fortifications all around the place. Here's the town being much emptier. Victoria then turned her focus to him and raised a brow. Suppose that makes sense. You aren't used to seeing the town under siege. Alex did not answer, but instead nodded his head as both vehicles and their trailers pulled down into the underground lot and were parked near the staircase leading inside the bunker. There, several deputies and near 24 others were waiting for them. The sheriff was amongst them. As Alex got out of the truck, he stumbled a bit and blinked a few times as he stared hard at John. In turn, the sheriff gave a cough and lowered his head as he approached. Well, it's... Let me stop you right there, John. You and I both know my memory's infallible. So explain why you look like you got in a fight with some razor wire and lost. The sheriff grumbled a bit and scratched at his neck before speaking up. Well, negotiations with the spirit out near the emplacements went very poorly. Good news, I took out a greater spirit of terror. With Vingelik's help, mind you. But bad news is, we best hope the mageling doesn't poke around those woods too much. Victoria was the first to jump in after the sheriff spoke. Can he just speak as openly in front of frankly, a lot of people? Alex looked back at Victoria and then back past John before waving a hand. They're all wolf bloods. They know all there is about us. What? Really? Victoria stepped around them and looked. Yes, really. Alex then looked at John and raised a hand up to place it on his shoulder. As for the spirit, it's a shame that it came to such an end, but we have you still. Is it really a shame, though? Victoria asked, the confusion plain in her tone and inflection. I mean, it's a spirit of terror, right? Isn't that... Yes, thanks, grumbly voice. She didn't get to finish as several of the wolf-bloods chuckled and others shook their heads as if in disappointment. It was a strange sensation, but she figured she had stumbled headfirst into a misunderstanding. Thus she turned to the usual fallback and looked at Alex. Remember what I told you. Spirits are individualistic. While a terror spirit sounds terrible, they aren't outright bad or even hostile. They just gain sustenance from fear. If you're someone that enjoys thrill-seeking through fear, horror movies, haunted houses, well, you would be good friends with one. Doesn't mean they can't be assholes, though, Sheriff said before he wandered past Alex and looked at the vehicles and the trailers. Right, enough delay. Get these unloaded and... Is that an altar? Yeah, I had us load it. Where do you want us to put it? I'm tempted to put it directly in the office upstairs. That may make the townspeople nervous, so let's put it downstairs. Many of the Wolfbloods were already jogging over towards the trailers, but had slowed upon hearing of the altar. As long as we put it where we can have a proper service of it. Well, let's put it on the 4th floor down then. In the central barracks. If we have some civilians down there, we can move them out and put the Wolfbloods down there. Alex didn't answer verbally, but nodded his head. To Victoria's initial surprise was that all the Wolfbloods now raced over to the altar. A group of them lifted it out of the trailer, but all of them at least placed a hand on it before the original 4 carefully began to guide it inside. Her focus turned to each of the wolves that had come with her, and noted that none of them spoke but observed as if in quiet approval. Only once the altar was moved furthest... Man, my right ear keeps popping. I'm just going to assume that's a thing of just, like, you know, recovering. But it just keeps going like... I'm like, just stop. It's really getting distracting. Ugh. Only once the altar was moved further away did all the Wolfbloods turn and start grabbing supplies to bring in. She had to remind herself that it wasn't just some cult, but that they could actually see the spirits and knew more truths of the world. She likely would have been the exact same way if she knew all they did. Was it rude not to do so now? Was she showing disrespect to the altar by not touching it as it was moved? She now knew about this side of the world and thus should know better. Thankfully for her, Alex wandered over and placed a hand on her shoulder before looking down into her eyes. Relax. You look like a fox caught in the hen house and desperately trying to dig your way out. Still adjusting to all of this, and had a moment of doubt and worry. You don't need to know everything and be perfect. Even we aren't. When it comes to all this, we just have access to the cheat sheet. It made her smile, and she gave a nod of her head before her purple eyes met with the green of his and did not sway from that newfound focus. Even as the others began to gather up the last bits of supplies and carry them inside, the 2 of them remained for a bit standing there until they would be the last to leave. Come, let's go gather with everyone and talk about what needs doing. Harcus rubbed at the back of his neck as he started to wander away from the morgue till he was interrupted by a strange procession. There were 4 men, all of them working together to carry a strange statue made of wood through the hall. The dwarf wouldn't have made much note, beyond the oddness of moving such a thing deeper inside the bunker, were it not for how they carried it. Each man moved as if a unit on march, and held firmly to the statue, kept upright and dignified, as if in a religious procession. They moved with care and purpose. Others filed in right behind them after catching up from the underground lot, but none dared to pass it. What was more intriguing was he recognized some of the faces as those he knew were afflicted by the wolf's violence. It was all incredibly suspicious, and thus as the procession passed him and made its way towards the stairs going down, he decided to follow suit. His plan was only momentarily interrupted when he saw the sheriff, the Whitmans, and a man he knew as Alex Reed. Clearly they were all the same lot, but a strange thing occurred to him as he saw a woman who didn't seem to belong. She paused for a moment and looked at Harcus intently, before scratching her cheek. She then quickly increased her pace from before to catch up. Now Harcus absolutely had to follow them and investigate what they were up to. Just because the town was facing one crisis did not exclude all other potential threats from joining in. It was better to be cautious and investigate thoroughly. Besides all that, He figured on... Let me try again. Besides all that, the figurehead on that altar looked to be a dragon. An ill omen if ever there was one, for dragons and dwarves did not get along well. Oh, and my ear keeps... That popping thing keeps causing me to, think on it. And then I'll stumble over a word, realize I used the wrong word, and have to go back. Dreadful, dreadful. But, again, I guess we'll pause there for a second. That's the one thing I wanted to highlight, too, was too often, in a lot of media, you'll have a single crisis that will completely, nothing else bad will happen ever. It's like the murder mystery thing, right? Which, again, I bring up just tangentially because we're going to be playing a murder mystery game here soon. But in a lot of murder mysteries, you have the murder, and then nothing else happens. None of the other people are, bad or have their own plans or schemes or things like that. Again, not always, but it just tends to be a thing. Oh, we need to focus on the one thing. It's life is messy. Life is chaotic. So again, Harkus is doing the logical thing of well, not just the logical thing, the smart thing of being just because the town's under siege doesn't mean I should inherently trust, these people that my culture has, demonized for so long. So I'm going to go investigate. I'm going to check. And the book already has shown that just because the town's under threat by a necromancer, they still got attacked by a smiler. Who, completely unrelated threat, but a threat nonetheless. Goodness sakes. Alright, let's continue. Though he had to confess, that wasn't a universal truth. For the Wormguard were a clan of disfavored, to put it mildly, dwarves living in the northeast mountains and serving under the dread Dervacorix. Dragon names. For most normal dwarves, dragons were considered the archenemy who wished to lay claim to dwarven lands rightfully the stone folk's own. It was hard not to pass judgment, and even more so if these damnable wolves were worshippers of a damnable dragon. That would be downright damnable. Welcome, Grynus. For now, he watched as the excuse me. For now he watched as the congregation filed into the barracks on the 4th floor, and thus followed them inside, but remained near the door. Carefully the altar was settled at the back of the barracks area, before the 4 carrying it hastily moved out of the way. Here's then the 6 people, 2 of whom he didn't recognize, stepped up and knelt down before the altar, placing a knee down and bowing their head. Or their heads, should be more accurate. We had a radar-spotted tornado south of us, but it didn't touch down. They had a funnel, but it didn't reach the ground. So almost. Hilda and one of her sons, the sheriff and Alex, were the ones he was familiar with. What? I wonder why they didn't do a thing there. Yeah, it went well, thankfully. It's just really, really, really bad windstorm afterwards. To his annoyance, the other aspect he was familiar with was that the altar was indeed a dragon, one that had a crown suspended between the horns. So not only were all of these people here infected with wolf madness, but they were dragon cultists as well. It was like seeing a nightmare situation take onto a dramatically more terrible form. All those words spouted by the sheriff were just wasted gibberish cast in the air for the ears of fools. This was the evidence of their true depravity. Even as the dwarf fumed over this offensive sight, Alex looked over towards David and nodded his head. Soon the Guthi stood up and placed a hand on one of Marax's feet before turning to acknowledge the room. "Good morning, Ken." The room hummed in reverberation as the gathered mass returned the greeting. "I regret that we have come together in such dire times. Though you all do not know me, for I come from a tribe 100 miles away, I have already been in the throes of battle with your awakened brothers and sister. Well, it is always terrible news to hear of a kin that has succumbed to their sins. Your local Yalder-skulled Alex thwarted the corrupted beast and ensured we suffered no casualties. Thus let your thoughts and prayers not be one of sadness, but of overcoming a dark threat. I speak in this manner, for we now face yet another. We who are charged to defend nature, the spirits, and the natural order, often come to stand before the greatest of wickedness. In this we can take comfort that the mad mageling is not such an unrelenting darkness, but a wayward wizard turned psychotic. Dangerous, to be sure, but such dangers our kind has faced and overcome before. Harkis was stunned that they were speaking so openly. Was this not supposed to be a secret? Did they not care now that the threat was so near? Were they going to deal with all those that were listening in? His eyes scanned the room to see if any were approaching or threatening his well-being. Yet what they caught and focused on most intently were children he had not seen before. It seemed a strange absurdity to the dwarf, filled with such knowledge of the myths and legends from his homelands, but these terrible beasts were caretaking children. I've seen firsthand the strength with which your kin can fight and stand in duty to the divine mandate. I've come away with the utmost confidence that though the fighting will be terrible and bloody, we can rise to the challenge and safeguard your home from such a devious despoiler of the natural order. My confidence further boosted from the level of coordination and respect you have shown for Meraxis, and the dedication from which you have helped fortify this town. Let us pray that we will be granted the wisdom of the third aspect of Severus, and safeguard the town from its destruction. Through our hard work and efforts, Point Crescent can be spared from the cruel fate pinned to it. Slowly all those gathered, even the children amongst them, closed their eyes and began to speak in unison after the man standing up front led them. The sight was unsettling to Harkis because of the words used in contrast to what these afflicted represented as a group. It was contradictory in the most absurd way possible, yet all of them seemed to be on the exact same page about it. The idea that all of this was staged for him was a complete mental gymnastics routine. Yet that left strange and unsettling answers. Meraxis, we come in this hour of need to seek out your guidance. You who have sheltered our kind and helped to foster our race to be the chosen instruments of the divines themselves. We ask you now to show us the way to keep this town safe, and guide our strength and effort in the right direction to ensure that we have a home to return to once this threat has been thoroughly routed. Though the townspeople may well learn the truth of our nature, let such an act in defense of them prepare the way for the warning you have given to us. Such an existence cannot be hidden forever, and may the world come to understand the real us when that curtain no longer obscures the truth. We ask you to safeguard each of us, those who are awakened and those who may yet become so, as we stand in defiance of the vile necromancer and in defense of those friends and family we have made for ourselves here. To each aspect we swear to uphold our sacred duty, and should we face the unfortunate possibility of death here, Let us take comfort in knowledge that we know the other side already, and will come to stand with those that have gone before us, and await those who come after. Praise be to the aspects, and praise be to Meraxus, the great guardian and caretaker of us. All the gathered people repeated the words, praise be, for a third time to end the prayer. This was Harkus' cue to dip out of the room, for he had become ever more confused and his thinking clouded. It was new information, whether put on as a spectacle or honest truth, thus needed time to be carefully considered. For now, he just needed to make distance and safeguard himself in this crisis. Thank you, Wolf Pope. Well, remember, Meraxus is the dragon. And all the shifters have far more loyalty. Of the three aspects, they have more loyalty to Meraxus over the others. Even though Cortosat's the one that shaped their bodies and everything. Storyteller is the one that set the idea in motion. It's Meraxus that's been working the hardest and, safeguarding them and everything. To an extent. Again, Meraxus is very much I'll help those that help themselves sort of deal. Because he doesn't want people to become subservient. He doesn't want people to become just completely and totally dead fish. That rely on him for everything. That he needs to be the one that does all the work, does everything for them. He wants them to actually stand up and prove their own strength. On the flip side, David opened his eyes and looked across the room at everyone gathered and offered a smile. I apologize that I'm not great as an orator. While maybe the crescent moon I have found guiding my kin in the ways of the spirit difficult. I find myself gravitating towards teaching of them and communing with them. Thus I hope my prayers and words were satisfactory to your ears. A general muffled acknowledgement and nodding of heads followed before David bowed his own in turn. He was thankful for their kind acceptance of his off-the-cuff sermonizing, and hoped he in some small way repaid a little of the debt he owed to Alex and the others for safeguarding him from the Smiler's wrath. For though he was doing his duty to keep the most severely wounded from slipping to the other side, he knew he had done little in the actual fighting of their fallen chieftain. He just felt so weak because he was a Guthi, yet he watched Hilda fight with incredible ferocity. Ferocity, what the fuck? Ferocity, even though she was completely outmatched. He had kept everyone alive through his capabilities, but it was Alex that actually ended the threat. That Yalder Skald had managed to battle two separate wrecker, one a seasoned and formerly respected chieftain, and a fresh turn that was experiencing the overwhelming power of wrath. That sin was a truly monstrous thing, fueling nigh infinite strength into the Wolverine. My apologies, but may I speak for a moment? The words came from a man sitting near the front, who David now recognized as Eric Whitman. The Guthi gave a nod of his head, and the man slowly came up and stood beside the Guthi. I didn't want to make it such a huge announcement, but wanted to make sure I could speak of this with at least all the awakened I knew of. The man then turned to look at Hilda and offered her a smile before he looked at the rest of the people in the room. Last night, when we were fighting for our lives against the Smiler, I nearly died, with David here keeping me from shuffling to the other side of the mirror. I blacked out from the pain, eventually came to and spent a lovely feast celebrating the taking of the corrupted's head. Once we were all able to sleep. Corrupted head. Once we were able to sleep, his voice trailed off a little. Hilda's eyes went wide before she excitedly smiled. Eric in turn nodded his head to her and then spoke with more confidence. As I lay there asleep, I found myself wandering amongst the trees and looked upon the pack awaiting me, for my spirit had come at last. And that ends chapter 11. Woo. I'm gonna read chapter 12 as well, Sabotage, what we've got of it. But that was the end for chapter 11. So yep, Eric now has had his spirit is trying to manifest itself properly. So Eric will now be amongst the awakened. He will be another Wolverine here in Point Crescent. There's going to be an amusing exchange because Eric is also a full mooner. His son Johannes is a full mooner, as you saw in the chapter Downpour when they were fighting against the Smiler. So I'm gonna do a small little exchange. I'm thinking about how to word it properly. But essentially, Johannes is going to request to become the fifth Talon Wrecker first, because he has seniority over his father, just so he can like kind of rub it in a little bit. Be like, you know, I'm your father, damn it. Yeah, well, I awakened first. I get to be the one to tell Dad no. Respect your elders. Well, I'm the one that woke first, so I'm the elder of you. It was only a day or two. Like, that don't matter. Alright. So, chapter 12, Sabotage. Carefully, quietly, he moved between each can, undoing the lid and pouring in his chosen instrument of vengeance. Each one left behind is a ticking time bomb waiting for the next person to fill the old generator. The most amusing part... oh yeah, no, it doesn't. But again, he's just being cheeky, right? The most amusing part was that he had done this before and knew full well how effective it was for disrupting an engine. And what was a generator if not a big engine? Now all he needed to do was get that dwarf alone so he could be dealt with. It would take time before anyone realized what had happened. First, the generator would go down and strip the bunker of its power. It would then take time for anyone to realize the fuel tank itself was the vessel for destruction, thus delaying the repairs even further. All of this would give him a perfect window to escape without resistance, long before anyone could start pointing fingers. In that lingering time, he could take a potshot at that stupid dwarf and skip town to meet back up with his partner. He had to smirk at the cleverness of his plan. It was perfect for his needs. Now, as he finished emptying the jug into the cans, he secreted away behind some storage crates in the room. Oops. It away. No, he didn't hide behind the storage crates. He then quickly slipped back out, walking casually so as not to attract attention, and made his way for the stairwell leading up. Very soon this town would pay for what it had done to him. All those looks and stares, those shaking heads and dismissive waves. Yes, very soon it would. His focus immediately turned as he watched the fat and hideous dwarf bumbling his way past the clinic and up the flight of stairs at the end of the corridor. He seemed to be waddling his way somewhere with some haste, thus very likely would be in a place to be dealt with. This plan was turning up more golden opportunities, to be sure. Knowing that the oafish dwarf would still be sluggish, Connor increased his own pace and would try to slip out the rear of the sheriff department to retrieve his chosen instrument of vengeance. It'd be a risk to lose sight of the tumorous mass, but he was confident he could get the weapon and still intercept the dwarf somehow. Thoughts that may have given doubt to his plans were cast aside. The dwarf could well and truly just be going to visit someone else inside. He could stop anywhere within, or maybe even second-guess himself. He could be going to get food. All such considerations did not matter, for Connor was riding the high of his successful sabotage, and thus he was certain the very gods themselves must be aligning things to allow his vengeance. The celebrations were already well underway, as Hilda had her arms wrapped firmly about her husband and was happily nuzzling against his cheek with her head. The sight was incredibly alarming to Victoria, who was not used to seeing such a stern woman acting in the manner of a puppy. She couldn't guess the reason for such incredible happiness, till Alex had whispered into her ear the answer. It was all about the longevity of the Wolverine race. The hardest part about one of the awakened falling in love with someone who wasn't was the knowledge that they were very likely to far outlive their cherished mate. Well, it was a bit of a misconception that wolves only had one mate for life, for wolves had their own personalities as well. It was a hard thing to spend so long with someone you loved, to then never have them again. Certainly all sentient species went through such terrible grief, but that the Wolverine could live hundreds of years longer carrying that weight was a sobering realization. Thus Hilda was now incredibly happy that her love would enjoy the same lifespan as her, and the pair could carry on long into the future. This thought brought a new feeling of guilt from within Victoria. She had been informed many times of Alex's gift to remember everything perfectly. Add to that the fact he would outlive her by many generations, and her own desires now felt incredibly selfish and one-sided. Did she have the right to put him through such pain? All of this assumed that he may well have the same feelings she felt for him. Yet was that just arrogance and self-pity? After all, Hilda was with Eric without him being awakened, and likely was fully expecting to go through that hardship anyways. Her focus was brought back to the moment when John turned to Alex and ushered everyone around. The plan going forward is to split in 3 teams. We'll gather a few wolf blood amongst 2 of them, with the remainder staying here with the 3rd team. Who will be on each team? Alex, you're going to stay here. You're the strongest cast, and thus you will have the responsibility to defend the town itself. For this, I want our goofy friend to remain behind as well, in case we need his expertise. David nodded his head and gave a thumbs up, agreeing to the plan wholeheartedly. I will go with some of the deputies to meet and request aid from the dragon in Mount Vinter. If you'd be willing to tag along, Richard, it would be a huge benefit. Meanwhile, Hilda and her son Johannes... Whoops. There we go. There's a thing here that didn't make any sense when I read ahead. Meanwhile, Hilda and her son Johannes will go and retrieve the militia weapons supply with about a dozen of the wolf bloods. Oh, seems logical to me. Solid plan, and we're limited on time, so spreading out the duties is for the best. I'm glad you agree. Now let's see if you agree to the next part. John scratched at his cheek and then turned to address the entire room. In front of all the wolf bloods here, I wish to make a proposal. Alex, you don't need to be alone ever again. You perhaps more than anyone deserve more. Therefore, the discussion we have often had between the 3 of us, I wish to make an official tribe. No, Alex, it's time. Before all those gathered here, I propose that Alex be made chieftain of this new tribe. The room was silent as all eyes turned to look at the elder skald. Yet the sheriff wouldn't let him speak. You have now killed 2 Smilers. You were the one to work for Vingalik and helped strengthen him and discover the convergence. We have been far too isolated and disjointed for beings that enjoy socializing with each other. I am ashamed that I was not there to pick you up in your darkest hour." The sheriff then stepped towards Alex, but placed his hand on Victoria's shoulder and gave her a smile. "Thank you for ensuring we didn't lose him. Even though you aren't one of us by blood, you have done so much for us in the minuscule amount of time you have been here." Victoria tensed up, but then Alex shook his head. "I don't." His words were cut off this time by Hilda. "You stubborn bastard. So worried about your weaknesses, you have lost sight of your talents and strengths. I second the Damari's proposal that you should be the chieftain of this new tribe. You won't do it alone. We will be there with you and supporting you." "John is the better leader, if anyone should be." "I disagree. I am needed in this town first and foremost. You're the one that did all the work and have laid the stable foundation we can use for our people." John's words made Alex finally stop, a long sigh escaping him as he, at first, slumped his shoulders forward, admitting defeat. So then followed as he stood upright and nodded his head. "All right. Can't stay locked away forever, it seems. When, not if, but when we overcome this crisis, we will petition Vingalik and make a proper home here. Lest any of the Wolfbloods disagree, for they are the lifeblood of our people." Victoria turned to look out across the crowd, but did not see a single face that bore any reservations, nor anything outside of warmth. It was clear that many of them had long been waiting for this announcement, accented when a man of elderly years stepped forward and spoke up boldly. "About fucking time. You know how long I've been waiting for such an announcement here?" The rest of the room let out various chuckles and smiling claps. When she finally turned to look at Alex once more, she saw that the wariness was gone from him, and instead a smile came across his face. This was the side she most enjoyed seeing, the contentment and happiness that he could show in these moments. Whether it was a selfish desire or not, she decided here and now that she would give her all to Alex if he wished her to. Pink Chungus? Who the hell is Pink Chungus in ZZZ? The plan was now set into motion, the pieces moving across the board. Everyone left the prayer in high spirits, and now would put their all into their assigned tasks. Hilda and Johannes would be taking a few trucks that had been used to transport the supply pallets just a day ago. Sheriff John and the Damari Richard would travel to a secluded spot on Mount Vinter, seek audience with the Grey Dragon Vinter himself. Whoops. To seek, yeah. Yeah. That fits better. Alex and David would remain back to safeguard the strong point in case the necromancer should attack. Only a slight monkey wrench was now thrown into the works, as the tender of the graves, a man named Derek Patterson, stumbled into the entourage of wolves firsthand. This unexpected meeting, as the man was departing the morgue and its makeshift medical facilities, certainly sent an unexpected ripple through all the wolves, who caught the scent instantly. The sheriff snatched him by the collar and dragged him into the morgue and out of the way. This action was so sudden and out of nowhere that Victoria almost kept walking past and had to stop and turn back to join them. Some of those who shared the blood of the wolf wanted to come in as well, but Alice dismissed them to their tasks. Inside the morgue, Dr. Fitzpatrick was consuming a sandwich he had made for his break, as he remained next to the patient he had helped perform emergency surgery on. "Doc, where's the other one?" John's words were hurried and seemed very cold. Other patient? They're taking up a tray. Wife didn't make it, and... No, I mean Dr. Amelia Andrews. Oh, well, she's getting some sleep now. I told her to do so while I kept watch over the patient, to make sure we didn't have complications. Before you ask, the other medical personnel are at the mess hall or resting for the same reason. Should a situation arise, they'll have at least gotten some downtime to... Good. We need to use the office and have a chat with our friend here. At this, the graveyard keeper, an alleged blackguard member, gave a weak smile and waved his hand at the doctor. Yeah, Tony. I think they need to discuss something with me. Is this wolf business? It was Derek that was the most surprised and tilted his head, but soon was dragged along behind the sheriff, who still had a firm grasp around his neck. It is. Those were the last words Tony heard as the door shut and all 8 people were now crammed inside the tiny space inside. This then brought Victoria to look between everyone and speak up. What's got you all so jumpy and annoyed? Well, that is simple. Our friend here... Whoops. The caretaker. Our friend here, the local caretaker of corpses, is actually more than he seems and less than. Sparkle came into Victoria's eyes. She grabbed at Alex's sleeve with giddy anticipation. A vampire? The entire room turned to look at her, which put her into the appropriate sense of embarrassment. By the divines, no! Derek protested before he coughed some, as everyone looked back at him. This in turn brought a string of words that flew over Victoria's head at first, till the repetition became clear. He's a Barrows beast, a crypt canine, a gravehound, a cemetery dog, a gallows pup. He's a fucking graver. The word meant nothing to the woman, but she could put enough context clues together to formulate an educated guess. Is this like that thing you told me about, Alex? The black dogs that linger around graveyards? Her words made the groundskeeper blink a few times and tilt his head. Wow, that's actually pretty impressive to put together. Once he finished his words, the man was shaken by the sheriff, which caused him to gag a little and flail his arms. Okay. How long have you been merged with him? Just over a decade, Sheriff. His answer made John, near audibly, blink a few times before a hint of understanding came over. No wonder you avoided us during any festivities or town gatherings. You knew if we smelled you that... Yeah, you would know what was up and likely do what you're doing now. I was going to tell you, especially given the threat we were up against, but... I'm sorry, but I'm lost. Is a graver a bad thing? At her words, all the wolves in the room grumbled a bit and lightly lightly stamped their feet in a bit of frustration. Even Johannes, who was a fresh awakened, was in lockstep with the general vibe. Most of the time, no. But sometimes they get corrupted and go crazy. So, what are they exactly then? And he didn't seem crazy, just worried. John looked at Derek and carefully loosened the grasp he had on his throat before nodding his head. This allowed the man to cough a couple times and try to compose himself before he spoke up to answer her question. Well, I am or was a canine spirit. You know how it's said dogs will mourn for their lost masters? Well, taken to its logical extreme, there's a subset of dog spirits that will roam around burial sites to safeguard them. A gravar is just one of us, but merged with a living flesh and blood mortal. This made Victoria far more curious rather than less, and such was written plainly and large upon her face. How the hell does that work? Well, we tend to have a special fondness for those that take care of such burial sites, or who show due respect to the departed. The gravekeeper, Derek Patterson, was a member of the Blackguard, but had failed in protecting a graveyard down south connected to a run-down church. He went into a personal exile here to Point Crescent, to tend to the cemetery here as the groundskeeper. Yet it was a lonely life, and he felt incredible regret and helplessness, even drinking himself to sleep many nights. One night he fell to the ground completely sloshed to the point his eyeballs could have been used as buoys. He wasn't reacting or thinking, and nearly suffocated on his own vomit. I managed to save him, and when he awoke to find me, well, he knew what I was because of his connection to the Blackguard. He pleaded and begged me to join with him. Thus I accepted. This right here is why spirits can be so troublesome. Did you even think for a moment of the consequences should something have gone wrong? Derek, or the thing that was pretending to be him, flinched a bit and raised his hands to cover his face, fearing retribution carried out swiftly. Such a strike did not come, and the graver instead sheepishly looked around at all those gathered. I wanted to help him. The sigh that came from the sheriff was so laden with disappointment, it became an unmistakable miasma that lingered through the entire room. It sapped all the goodwill that had been poured out from the gathering just moments before. Thus Victoria felt it was her job to course-correct things. Well, what's done is done. The question is, how can you, being a blackguard and a gravehound, help us in the current crisis? Do you have all the former groundskeeper's memories? This had been the salvation, and out the spirit needed, and he desperately leapt at it with outstretched arms. Yes, I know all of what he knew, or rather, what he remembered at the time we started merging as one. So, I know the rites and rituals to safeguard an area. I've already started gathering the needed supplies to sanctify the department. As for myself, I can fight. Not anywhere near what the fine, very nice, and understanding wolves here can do, but, I'm stronger than a normal person, with better senses, and can heal rapidly. No need for more of a sales pitch. John, Victoria is right. What's done is done. If he's been inside, or rather become Derek for over a decade, then he isn't at risk of spiraling out and becoming a threat. This brought a smile to Derek's face, and he eagerly nodded along. For now. The smile was extinguished, and the sheriff rolled his eyes before he begrudgingly went to leave the office, offering a wave of his hand as he did so. I agree to the point. Now we have duties to get to besides all this. Those words, 4 of the gathering left, leaving Alex, Victoria, David, and Derek behind in the room. A strange sensation settled upon all those gathered, with even Dr. Fitzpatrick leaning in to investigate the situation. Curiosity is dangerous, Doc, Alex said before he stepped forward and placed a hand on Derek's shoulder. As for you, what all do you still need to put up the safeguard? Well, a metric shit ton of salt. I'll need to sanctify it first, but then it can be spread around the bunker to act as a barrier. Figure the store has a few pallets of the stuff. Some for cooking, others for de-icing or softeners. I also need ash from the boiler downstairs to make sure that someone can't just brush the salt away. Right. Let's head out and get the salt first. I don't want to be away from the bunker too long. As for you, Victoria, please keep yourself safe here inside. Get some food and settle in and get comfortable. I promise I'll keep you safe. Oh, I think I know something weird that my model keeps closing their eyes at weird times. Or like closes one eye. As their eyes met one another, she had a realization within. The answer to the question she now had from before. It was so obvious, and yet she hadn't hoped for such an outcome. After all, she was just a naive idiot that nearly got herself killed. It was a commonly stated affliction that those who were saved from death would fall for their saviors. That didn't matter to her, though, as he had done more than just save her. He had shown her the stage hands and the curtains, the lights and sets of the world in its truest form. The answer to her question was it didn't matter, so long as they both cared for one another. If he truly could remember everything, then all she had to do was fill that memory with enough good to outshine any darkness that may linger after. And that is what we're up to now. So, again, we're about to finish. We're about halfway through page 156, so we're getting there. And I have to begrudgingly admit that this book might be just as long as Guardians of Nature. Because there's a lot to do. There's still a lot to do. We've got to talk about getting the munitions and everything from the coastal battery. We've got to do the meeting with the Dragon Vinter. Here now we've got to do Connor shooting Harkus in the back and leaving him for dead. We've got to do the Necromancer's movements and their stuff they're doing. We got to do the special fate awaiting a certain person. We got to do the discussion with the Drakine that's going to offer his assistance. Then we can finally get into the opening stages of the siege itself. Oh, we have to also do the sabotage. Because what Connor did, for anyone that doesn't know, what Connor did was he put antifreeze in the gas cans. Antifreeze doesn't combust the same way gasoline does. So what will happen is, when you get enough antifreeze inside the system will be sucking fuel, but it can't check. It's not checking for like what's in the liquid. It's just going to take what the liquid that it gets, right? So it's going to suck in the antifreeze. The antifreeze will go through the fuel system, and then will go into the combustion chambers. It will not combust, thus it will not push the piston. It will not push the piston, so you'll lose that piston permanently, well, until you can fix it. And more fuel will be added, which will make it thicker. That piston will move only because the other pistons are forcing it to move. Which will then cause an overpressure buildup and may pop the head gasket off of the piston fully. Other pistons will also be getting affected by the antifreeze, which will not get sucked out on the back pressure, because it's not, without the combustion, it hasn't pressurized in that way. Instead, it's pressurized through volume. So yeah, essentially this thing will severely fuck up your pistons very badly. And it's not something you can just get rid of. You need to flush the entire fuel system. And you need to get the fuel out of the pistons themselves. So again, it's just a ticking time bomb because who's going to take time to notice that the fuel looks a little weird, right? That the gasoline, your job is to refuel the generator, right? Are you going to notice that the smell is slightly different? Or that the fuel looks a little different? Or are you just going to quickly get it in there so you can get to your other tasks? You'll pop open the fuel tank, put in the gas, and let's go. That's why it's such a good sabotage. Only if you're uber autistic, yes. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. But what is fortunately, and again, I already set up the groundwork for it, the generator itself is going to protect itself. Because again, I already set up the groundwork for it, that there are spirits that can take the body, like can be used in objects. You can have object spirits that will form, like basically giving an object a soul, right? The spirit itself will realize what's going to happen and will instead pop the fuel thing out. Now, the generator will stop running, but it won't have blown like the head gaskets. It won't have popped any pistons. It won't have or cracked any pistons. It won't have bent any of the rods or anything. But it will have stopped functioning. And it's only when the Goofy, David, comes by and the spirit is basically whispering to him hey, there's problem, check the fuel. That's when the Goofy is yeah, this fuel is fucked. This fuel has been, we've been sabotaged. But essentially a fuel line's going to burst by the spirit within the generator itself, which will keep the antifreeze from getting into the pistons. Excuse me. Yep. Again, it's not like a very endearing name. It's not like a super crazy name, but it's been nicknamed Old Bertha and Old Reliable. Because it's a big old generator. We're talking an old school generator, right? So think of a big World War II basement size generator. It's a big chunky thing. But it doesn't have a lot of parts and stuff for it. It's very easily maintained. And obviously the sheriff department takes care of it. So partly because, well, it's just a good piece of kit. It's an old, reliable workhorse, right? And another part because you've got the sheriff who's obviously a Wolverine. He knows that object spirits can be a thing. And so while he doesn't want to be a hoarder, he doesn't treat things so cavalier, so casually, right? He tries his best not to just, use it and discard it sort of thing. Yeah. Big Bertha, old reliable. It's a huge old generator. So, again, it's not this. See if I can get one. It's here. Okay, that's the only one that shows up. So imagine this, but much bigger, right? This is what the military would tow behind trailers and things like that. These were field generators in World War II. But imagine a generator like this, but it takes up think of it like an old computer, an old World War II computer where they took up a room. That's how big the generator is. It's a big old beast of a generator. Now, fortunately for them, because again, technology advances differently, because magic is an actual thing, and again, people know magic is a thing, so technology's kind of veered in a different way, like advancements have. The bunker itself is also heated by a boiler system, which is a pretty big boiler. But what it is it's using the floor method. So there are piping that is laid all throughout all the floors, and the boiler heats water that goes through all the pipes through all the floors. So the floors themselves get warm and hot, and that heat dissipates up through. It's actually a very efficient heating method, shockingly, and it's something that you're getting more modern day stuff is starting to use floor heating in that methodology to actually be the heating system. But here in Rosentia, they thought of this already, like even back during their Second World War. So this is a long time ago. They had this thought process. And like I said, that's just, again, because technology has skewed itself. It's not unfeasible for somebody to be like, hey, if we boil water, like, that gets really hot. The pipes get really hot. So, but instead of putting radiators in the rooms, which aren't very efficient, if we put it in while we're pouring the concrete for the bunker, we can just have the floors be heated that way. And then we'll have cutoff pipes for, like, if the fourth floor and the third floor aren't being used, you can do these cutoffs so that the circulation will only go through the first, second floors. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's why there's a boiler down in the bunker as well, and that will give Derek access to ashes to use. Their version, though, the Korean version, was a specific, like, piping network. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember what it's called, but I know that the reason I knew about it existing was because the author of Nebula Civilization actually had the Lizardmen use it, because Night Sky, the main character of the book, had basically, like, nudged the Lizardmen in that direction. It's like, hey, if you if you use a fire pit and then piping under the floors, it will heat the floors up, and that will radiate heat upwards. Yeah, boiler is much better for energy efficiency. Using fire in and of itself isn't that efficient, because air will lose the temperature quicker. Whereas the water keeps the temperature for longer, so keeps that heightened state longer, and then also fuels up through the stonework, in this case cement. The cement holds on to heat and radiates heat. So again, you're just basically like making a cooking stone. Yeah. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, we are going to play a little game. We are going to play a little game. This game is called Myrtle. And I will explain the game before I go on the website. Like, hey, I'll show you. Like, here's the website. I will explain the game before we go on to it. So this game is all about using deductive reasoning and logic to solve murders. Right? That's what this entire thing is about. There is a daily puzzle every day on the website, or you can get the book. I got this book for Christmas, and I've enjoyed the puzzles and thinking things through quite a lot. Now, again, it's all based on logic. You don't have to guess or make assumptions. Like, the only thing you will have to do at times is have to logic through, because you'll be missing parts and be like, okay, well, let's logic through if this person had this, and then using all the other clues you have, does it ever contradict? If it doesn't contradict, that is your likely answer. If it does contradict, obviously you've got to throw it out. That one's incorrect. But again, that's just a process of logic, too. So I wanted to explain that before, because these are actually timed to see how long you can do it. So, Myrtle, let's go. Hopefully I don't embarrass myself. Alright, pop open everything. First and foremost. Okay, it's an easier puzzle today. One of Logico's contacts in the glittering faith of a ledger gave him this tip. A brown stain was discovered by stalagmites? I think that's stalagmites. That's the thing that comes to mind first. So, a brown stain. So, assuming poison hot chocolate was discovered by stalagmites. Likely have to be here in a cave. Yep. Alright. So, the coffee is here in the cave. By the way, these are always true. This evidence is always true. It cannot be contradictory. This is always factual. Officer Copper was in place, coincidentally. Reference in Dame Obsidian's famous unauthorized autobiography. What's this go to? Page 122 of How I Murdered My Husband and I Done It by Dame Obsidian. Time I was struggling with my latest Who Done It. Old house, fresh body. My husband was pacing on a ski lift. It felt like an ordinary, normal day, but of course it wasn't. Okay, so ski lift. Officer Copper was at the ski lift. Okay. Oh, you're right, I did. Whoops. Boop. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I did. That one's the slopes. This one is the hidden cave. Black hair was found wrapped around the snowboard. Okay, so he's got black hair. Dame. Alright, so Dame was wrapped around the snowboard. So the snowboard is our weapon for Dame. Carmack Champagne was not behind a keg of beer. So, Comrade Champagne was not here. The strangling scarf was left-handed only. So, Dame, Comrade Champagne. Alright, so it was Comrade Champagne who had the scarf. Alright, perfect. Body was found on the slopes. Alright, here we go. Okay, so the coffee was at the cave. We don't have anybody who does that. You were there. We don't have your stuff. Okay. Okay, we know it can't be there. He has to be here. The reason he has to be here is because the coffee is in the cave. Therefore, he can't be in the cave because he has the scarf. So we know he's here. That eliminates that. Also, again, the coffee's in the cave, so she must be at the bar. And that means he is at the cave. Yeah, I think we've got it because it's at the slopes already, right? Yep. Okay. So it was Comrade Champagne with a strangling scarf at the slopes. Make your accusation. Boom, boom, boom. Hooray! We did it! We did it! We did it! Hooray! Cool. Myrtle in 4 minutes and 46 seconds. Cool. I'm on a streak of 3. And then you get another one. There's a little mini Myrtle you can do. But I wanted to show this because, again, I've been having a lot of fun. And I like this system. This is a really nice system to use. He's a communist. Oh, there is one. There's Comrade Red, who's a communist for sure. All right. This is the mini Myrtle. So this is a really quick one. A yo-yo was not found in the student union. The student union looks like that. So yo-yo was not found there. One of Logico's contacts in the band of the Sacred Rage gave him this tip. Lady Violet had a yo-yo. So again, assuming Lady Violet, okay. She was there, so therefore she could not have been there. Arts and craft supply was found beside peeling paint. Okay. Well, arts and craft supply, which would be the scissors, was found by peeling paint. Earl Grey was childhood friends with the person who brought a graduation cord, aka meaning he could not have, he could not have the graduation cord, so he had the scissors, which also means that he was at Old Main. I'll just go determine the murder took place in the computer lab based on the clues he found there, specifically the corpse. Yep. Okay, so the computer lab's the one we've got. That means you have the strangulation scarf. You were in the computer lab. You were here. Alright, so it was Violet with the yo-yo in the computer lab. Let me make double sure that's the thing for it. Yep, okay. Make your accusation. Bam, bam, bam. Woo! Day of my anniversary, you just pick the white guy. It's the Ryan Johnson way. Then do a Foghorn Leghorn impression. Let's see. You solved today's mini Myrtle in 1 minute and 57 seconds. Tomorrow's will be available in 12 hours and 40 minutes. Woo! I got the mini Myrtle and we got the main Myrtle done. Yeah. But again, this is fun. I like these. I just like these as like logic puzzles and everything. Now, again, we're not going to do this every day, but I figure this would just be a cool, like, fun thing to show you guys. Like, putting the pieces together through logic and everything. How to solve the whodunit this way. I like this grid system a lot. I'm like, that's a really clever way to keep track of things. I like that a lot. Well, this is the other thing, too, is that a lot of the people, the main story of this whole thing is that a lot of these people kill a bunch of people, but nobody arrests them or anything. And our buddy here, our character, our viewpoint character, the one that we play as, he, Detective Logico, he doesn't care that they aren't taken to jail or anything. All he cares about is the mystery itself, because he's a goober. He's a weirdo, logical goober. Like the police will like come and arrest them, and then they'll just let them back out and things like that. And he's like, whatever. All I care about is the mystery. It's definitely better than Shadows of Doubt and its auto-solving cases. Yeah, that's fair. To be fair, that's a consequence of emergent gameplay though. In Shadows of Doubt's case. Yep, I like that. I like that too. Okay. So now, Chad, I want to discuss with you a thing. So I want to have like lots of fun holidays and things like that, right? In my setting, they just help flesh things out. But I don't just want something that looks remarkably like Christmas, sort of deal. Oh, okay. I will look at it. I will look at it here in a moment. Anyways, I don't want something that says looks remarkably like Christmas. One, I'm not Terry Pratchett. He's a much better writer than I am. But two, I don't know. I find that kind of like, why would a thing develop that way? You need to have the why of it. And then I was like, well, I've got a good idea about how a spirit of gift giving, like a sort of like holiday gift giving thing would happen, right? What it would be is that there was an old legend, long passed down through Zencha, of a man who would go by the name Kristoff. And what this was, what it would be, he knew winter was coming, and so what he would do is, when winter was at its harshest, he would deliver wood, like firewood, to the homes and stuff around the village he was in. And then he started spreading out because he liked the sensation of it. It felt good to him. He spread out to do it to some of the neighboring villages as well. So it kind of just grew this tradition. So in Rosentia, it's eventually warped into this idea of like, there'll be a little table, air quotes on it because it's not actually a table, but it's firewood arranged like Jenga blocks up, and then you can put presents on top of it. Because originally what had happened was he would just deliver firewood and stuff. But he was a man that was good with woodworking and things like that, hence why he had an axe in order to carry out his thing. This also kept a lot of the villagers alive through the harshness of winter because he delivered firewood to them as like a gift. He just did it just purely out of the kindness of his own heart. Well, he also noticed that a lot of the children, he wanted to help entertain the children, so he would give them little wooden toys and things like that he would carve himself. So therefore, it just kind of like, put one and one together to make two, sort of thing, right? And that therefore I could have a Christmas like holiday without it being Christmas, without a lot of the traditions of Christmas, but traditions that are in a different sense, but still have the same kind of vibe of like, this is a gift giving holiday. Spend time with friends and family, out of the coldness and harshness of winter. Spend them in next to the fire and everything. And that could be the tradition was you would wake up and you'd have the stacked firewood that was ready to go into the ready to go into the fireplace, and then have gifts that would be stacked around it or on top of it and things like that. Just adding a little bit of fun, a little more depth to things, right? Like some of the holidays. I already know there's going to be the spring festival, stuff like that, for Point Crescent, and it's going to actually change after the siege of Point Crescent. So the spring festival was originally just a, usher in that the winter's chill is lessening, the grasp of winter is going away. We have the warmth of spring coming in. Point Crescent doesn't become like a warm place in the summer, right? It's still pretty mild. This is a town pretty far up north. So the summers are pretty mild. The winters are very harsh. But Point Crescent itself essentially is going to change the ceremony a bit because of the siege of Point Crescent. A lot of the stuff now to like usher in the beginning of spring, because that's when this book takes place, right? Spring is starting to come. The lake has now opened up. The like winter's bite isn't becoming as harsh. Things are starting to thaw. So this would be normally the time when the town's preparing for the spring festival. But that's going to change now after the siege of Point Crescent. Next year's spring festival is going to have suddenly a lot of wolf iconography in it for some reason. That people visiting the town are like, well, that's weird. I wonder what possibly could have happened while the town was cut off and being besieged by the undead. Plus, there's going to be a lot more like allusions to winter being deathly, like skeletons, like with ice hanging off of them and snow and stuff, and the wolves hunting them down and chasing them and destroying them and things like that, as in to usher in like life over death sort of thing, the cycle carrying forward, right? And obviously the whole town would feel grateful because, well, they're alive. The necromancer obviously gets beaten in the end. Like that's kind of the given you have to go in with. The necromancer loses in the end, but this sets up for more interesting things to happen too. Especially because the Vink family connection comes in for future books in this setting. Oh my goodness sakes. Okay. Okay. What else do we want to do today? I was actually prepared for Myrtle to take me some time in case we got like a really difficult one. Because there are some where you can have like 6 suspects with 6 weapons, 6 locations. You have to also have their testimony and everything like that, and it can get really difficult. Thankfully, we had 2 pretty easy ones. The mini Myrtle is always an easy one. The main Myrtle can be very difficult. And the first one I ever got was on the harder side of things. Because you had to go through suspect testimony. my god. Yeah, no, I don't know what to. I didn't really have much else planned, honestly. I was gonna talk about the book. We're gonna obviously read through the what we got thus far and everything. So yeah, talk about some of the festivals and things like that, the holidays for Rosentia. Ooh. You have no idea how good sleeping right now sounds. You have no idea. I haven't been sleeping well for the past few days, and again, it doesn't help that it's super dry in here. Well, I kind of want to focus still more on the book stuff. I've got the foundation and groundwork laid out for Grey Wolf, so that'll be fun. Basically, how the organization will start to be, how it comes to be, and everything. Basically, sorry, Alex. Wow. William will be doing a lot of the groundwork, while Samantha will kind of be his eye in the sky intel officer. Happening recently, and have been struggling to not nap for like 3 hours daily. I get it. Yeah. The naps. The naps are they are a terrible gilded cage. They are a subtle and manipulative trap. Alright, let me check this. Let me peep this sword. The Blood Boiler. 6 to 23 damage, 1d8 plus 3 slashing, enhancement of plus 3. 5 to 22 damage when equipped. Critical hit range is 19 to 20. Martial proficiency group, flaming burst, flaming enhancement plus 3. Whenever the wielder of this plus 3 flaming burst longsword kills an enemy, its corpse explodes, dealing 2d6 fire damage to all enemies in a 15-foot area. Damn. Minus 200 points because your beard doesn't match your portrait. The color is wrong. The future is now, old man. Alright, anyways. I just hate how dry winter is. So dry. Oh. So my nose always like dries out. My throat's all dry and just mucusy. It's just ugh. Hate it. So I usually have to wake up and chug a bunch of water and then go back to sleep for a little bit, then wake back up again to chug some more water because it's so fucking dry. I should play more Wrath of the Righteous, but it's just one of those things where, Oh, I did get RuneScape Dragon Wilds, only to then be met with the unfortunate discovery that it uses Epic Online Services. So I refunded that shit. I was like, nah, fam, fuck off. Yeah, that was not for me. Your purchase has been refunded. Thank you. I didn't even play it for a minute. Once I saw that, it was like, log in to Epic Online Services to play the multiplayer. I was like, nah, fuck you. I'm out. No, no, no. I don't care about the colors of your shirt and robe. I care about the color of your beard. Your beard. Change the color of your beard to a gray or a white at least. Apparently that's more explained in the missions mode, Rapar. The open world stuff came later. Yeah, so, yeah. Yep. Missions mode is actually how you're supposed to play Icarus. And they're timed like quick missions and things like that. Essentially, the company's just sending you in to get things done, and then you build up if you feel like it, sort of stuff. Or you use your materials you've earned points for to like complete missions faster and things like that. But I did the open world as well. I went open world. I had a rude awakening. I almost got killed by a boar. I killed the boar, and then I got killed by the dinosaur horse thing. Respawned in a random area because I obviously hadn't had a bed or anything made yet. I literally got attacked by a boar and almost died, and then killed right soon after by a completely different animal. Respawn randomly. A storm comes in, and the storms fuck you up real bad. So I had a really janky, awful start. And that definitely put me in a bad mood. But I managed to make it back to the pod. The pod acts as a shelter, thank fuck. And yeah. Oh, I did the one it recommended, not the Riverlands. I did the other one, the Cordon, or whatever, or the Conifer. Sorry, the Conifer is what it's called. That's what I did. I did that one. That was the recommended one. Yeah. Anyways. Oh, another thing. Another bit of news. I have been checking out another anime because I always try to find like weird and interesting things. So there's another anime called Bungo Stray Dogs. Yeah. Bungo Stray Dogs is the name. And it's actually a very interesting one thus far. I think I'm lacking some of the DLCs, but I'm not worried about it. Anyways, it's a very interesting one. What it is the main character. Again, I didn't expect this. I just wanted a supernatural show, right? The main viewpoint character, or the viewpoint character we get to start with, is a were-tiger. And he doesn't know he's a were-tiger. He thinks he's being hunted by this tiger that's chasing him, and he gets kicked out of the orphanage and everything. He doesn't understand what's going on. He doesn't know he's an ability user. He gets involved with the Armed Detective Agency, the ADA, who has a license to carry firearms in Japan and use them, and has a license to allow ability users, aka supernatural gifted ability users, to use their gifts. Like, openly. It is a, like, interesting show. It actually has pretty good, like, it has pretty good, like, mystery and things like that involved in it and stuff. I actually like it thus far. There's a little bit of the, like, super power level of deduction on some of the detective stuff. But they keep saying that the detective that the actual agency is named after doesn't have an ability. He just is that, he's that gifted, he's that intelligent. But he keeps thinking he does. In this current episode, he finally finds out that he doesn't actually have an ability. He is just that smart. But he keeps telling the other characters, like, no, I need the lie to keep going. I need it to keep going. The people think I have an ability. Even though everybody else in the office knows he doesn't have an ability whatsoever. He doesn't have a supernatural gift. He is just that smart. But he's like, no, I need this to be true. Otherwise, I'll look really stupid for having believed it this long. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it's actually a really dark show. Like, more than you would expect. There's a lot of death and killing and stuff in it, and people getting seriously fucked up. I like the abilities that the people have too. Like, they have a doctor who can only heal people by nearly killing them. Her ability only works on fatal injuries. But when she gives you a fatal injury and heals it then instantaneously, it also heals all your other injuries. So she has to hurt you to heal you. And her ability is called Thou Shalt Not Die. And yeah, it's she because of the way her ability works, she became a fucking total sadist. Like, she's a psychotic wackadoo. It's great. And she's actually, again, she's on the good guy team. This is a good guy character that has this. Hang on. I wonder if anybody has her thing. Because, yeah, she's a very psychotic woman, to say the least. So, one thing that she says, this is the scene. This is a good scene. This is your first introduction to the Doctor. And she basically everybody in the thing, all of them, all of the people, like, at the detective agency, basically warn our main character, kid, the were tiger. They're like, don't actually get injured. If you get injured, you're gonna go to the doctor. And then they show the doctor taking care. Wait, wait. I wonder if I can find the one. Hold on a second. Where she treats the main character. Because everyone's like, no, we don't want to be treated by her. Yeah, no worries, Grynus. No worries. But our main character, he finally gets injured enough where the were-tiger didn't heal him back up fully. So she gets to treat him, and she's like, my, what one will I use today? So she looks through her bag of knives and things like that she uses, like meat cleavers and things like that she hacks people apart with. And she pulls out a chainsaw and she revs it, and she immediately just sticks it in his chest, just like, he's like, ah! Oh my god. It's like, what will I use today? Yeah, essentially, a lot of the detective agencies, like, sometimes it might be better to. Oh, by the way, the main detective that we get a lot of the information from, like our viewpoint into the detective agency, he is a man that is constantly trying to commit suicide. Like, all the time. He's obsessed with suicide and thinking about suicide and how to do suicide. And, like, has moments where he's just like, oh, did you notice that wooden beam? That wooden beam would be perfect if we put a rope around it. And then, like, everyone's like, stop. Just stop talking. Stop. Cease the words coming out of your mouth. But he's in such a weird, like, he's in a weird state because he wants his suicide to be perfect, right? A suicide that won't inconvenience anybody, that won't be painful. It's like he's got a big list of things, and now he's obsessed with this idea of dual suicide, where, suicide would be much better if he also had a woman who killed herself, a really beautiful woman that killed herself with him too. He's such a fucking goober. Yeah. But he constantly gets his attempts thwarted. But because he's a death seeker, like, he's incredibly fucking spooky because he's such a death seeker. Like, he unnerves basically everyone else. Everyone is freaked the fuck out about him. Yep. Yeah, I'm talking about Dazai. That's what I'm talking about. Yep. Osamu Dazai is his actual name. Or Osamu Dazai. Hey, we're not going to watch this full thing. But these are like some of his moments in season 1. This is how basically the anime opens, by the way. This part right here. Yeah.
知らんかね。純粋自殺だよ。それなのに君が余計なこと。
You just had to interfere. So the start of it, our character here, our main character, the lead, he's starving to death. He's so fucking hungry. He's like, that's it. I've made up my mind. I'm just gonna rob whoever I come across first, and then the very next person I see, I'm gonna pounce them. I'm gonna take all their stuff, so I can get some food. And then the very first person he sees is a motorcycle that goes by him at Mach fuck. He just goes, and he's like, okay, well that's not fair, universe. Then the next person he sees is an entire military unit out on march in full battle gear, going by him like, hup, 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 hup. And he's like, oh, okay, that's unfortunate. So the very next person, I swear. And then he just sees this goober floating along in the river. But he's too good of a person. He can't help himself, so he dives in and saves him. Man, he's just such a freaky goober. Yeah, he doesn't need money where he's going. Well, what's funny is that he says he'll treat him to some food, but the river stole his wallet. Well, the river's clearly taking my wallet, so I don't have any money. But we'll just get him to pay for it. The guy across the river. Trying to commit suicide, you nerd. Are you even listening? Yeah, he is a very amusing character. I actually like him a lot. You know, you'd think that the whole shtick of him trying to commit suicide would get old, but no, he's genuinely like, oh yeah, when he gets obsessed with this, he's talking about hanging himself from the rafter in the restaurant that they're eating at. Oh yeah, he calls him because there's an emergency, and he was trying to kill himself using a barrel, and he got stuck. So he called his new protege to get him unstuck from the barrel. He's like, help. And the whole time he's talking, he's just slowly sinking.
自分で入った。こうしてドラム缶にはまる自殺法があると聞いたものだから、しかもここまではまると自力では出られない。死にそう。私は自殺は好きだが、苦しいのも痛いのも嫌いなのだ。そして。
Get me out of here. Get me the fuck out of here. He's like, I like suicide, but not pain and suffering. So again, this is when you start putting together his incredibly arbitrary, like, restrictions for what he means when he wants to off himself. But he's an incredible fucking goober. And one of the best suicide plans he came up with was eating mushrooms in the forest. And he ate a mushroom that sent him to a fucking... He had the greatest high of his life. And he thought he'd actually succeeded and everything like that. And he starts attacking random people in the office, thinking like they're different spirits and things trying to stop him. Oh, it's great. Come back here, rainbow imp. Yes, I have. I've seen the Deep Space Nine episode where Quark hires Garrick to kill him. But I don't want to be loud. I don't want to mess up my suit. I don't want it to, like that. Like, because they do the holodeck recreation, and he grabs Quark, snaps his neck, and then pushes him over into his food. Just, he's like, that's horrible. That sound, the neck snapping. He's like, you'll be dead. He's like, I could hear it though. I don't want that to be the last thing I hear. So then he's just like, you know what? I just want to wake up and suddenly be in the Hall of Acquisitions and not know how I got there. If I know the food is poisoned, I won't eat it. And then Garrick's like, well, don't worry. Then I'll make sure you'll never see it coming. Oh. And he can't vaporize him either because he needs a body. Oh man, he's such a fucking goober. Hang on, wait, here we go. This is pretty good.
りついたのだ。これが死後の世界。湯本広坂。やはり完全自殺読本は命中だな。
毒キノコでも食ったか。
それがです。
出勤後の書類整理だ。終わるまで待て。
にすごいぞ。虹色の草履にしろ。
Such a fucking... He's a little gremlin. He's such a little gremlin at times. It's great. He's just such a little fucking gremlin. No. Oh my god. Wait. Bongo Stray Dogs dub moments that keep me awake at night. Hold on. Morbidly curious on this.
Don't tell me you tried to drown yourself again, Osamu.
Don't be silly. Committing suicide alone? That's so passé these days. I have made a decision that if I'm going to end everything, I'll do it with a beautiful woman. Double suicide. What a sweet ring it has. By comparison, it feels so empty to think about bidding farewell to this world all by my lonesome. What tragedy. What a terrible situation. A lovely young woman in her prime has lost her life. She could have committed double suicide with me. My sorrow's crushing my heart, and there's nothing I can do to ease my pain.
This is actually the way he acts and everything like that. Like, unironically, so many of the characters are just so like, they're just like, man, you are the way you are. Oh my god. He even has a full song he sings. I don't know. Hang on. Let's see if I can find a spot where he might be singing the song. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah. So there's an actual song. I don't know if they'll have the lyrics will be the same, but he keeps singing this song a lot.
You can't do a double suicide just by yourself.
Hey, Dazai, how come you're not working?
I'm waiting for my muse.
Huh?
Don't forget, grab a friend.
The armed detective agency is so much more violent than the Port Mafia. I
forgot about that part. I forgot the the mafia shows up to kill all the detectives at the agency, and the mafia gets fucking jumped. And then the main character is shocked that the detective agency might be more violent than the mafia is, because they're throwing all the bodies out the window. Keep in mind, they're on like the 4th floor of this building, so they just pop the window open. They're like, "Oh, we got to get rid of all these bodies so we can start cleaning up." He goes, "Just do it." And the country bumpkin character's like, "I'm on it." He opens the window and just starts chucking them out one by one. Whee! Oh my god. Ugh. God, yeah, the country bumpkin's name's Kenji. He's a fucking goober. They're all goobers in like the best way possible, right? Hey, wait. Let's see if there's some fun Ranpo moments. Ranpo is the super detective. Wait, Dub Ranpo is iconic? Oh no. I think my favorite part about Ranpo is that he's so he's an autistic little gremlin, right? He's the Sherlock Holmes of the detective agency. In fact, a lot of the other members actually say that the reason that the agency was even formed to be a detective agency was because Ranpo. But he's so like, oh, I need a murder case right now. I'm so bored. Help me, bored. Ah. And he just, ah. So many of them want to go for later seasons. I want to get the ones where it's the first seasons. No, because he's not like BBC Sherlock bored, right? His level of boredom is that like he'll fall asleep and stuff like that, because he's imagining all these like much better scenarios, situations, and cases and things he could be solving and stuff. He's not bored in the self-destructive destructive to others sort of thing, right? Like, he doesn't start randomly shooting firearms in the house to hit people.
探偵社の同僚で、まあああいう男だ。何しろ僕の座右の銘は、僕が良ければ全てよし。
All's well, that's well for me.
なんとなくわかりました。
ランポ。出番だ。 やんない。
安定にして地の巨人。6年前君との勝負に敗れたものである。
眠たい話ならいいや。帰る。
事件当時のアリバイは
あの部屋にかか本当だ。じゃあ特務課突入からケンジ君だと？
無理。地上戦で痛み分け延長戦。知的帽子君はまだ中だよ。国木だ。駄菓子がな。偉いとか式なんてアリンコほどにも興味ないから。そうか。
何してるんですランポさん。
秘密。
It's a secret. He's hiding all of his snacks. Duh, what do you think he's doing? Oh my god. Bunch of goofy goobery. Again, I like all the characters thus far in the show. Like, I really do. Yeah. Oh, here's another video. Rampo being autistic for 6 minutes straight. But did I see that though? Oh my god, they did. So apparently Semblance of Sanity did Bungo Stray Dogs. Fucking hell. Well, hell yeah. I'll have to probably watch that at some point. Yeah. Okay. Okay, enough shenaniganery and stuff like that. Again, thus far I've liked the show a lot. Again, there's very super powery like things, but they do at least explain a lot of it in a logical way, like how we could come to that conclusion. But some of it, sometimes they don't, and the ones where they don't, I'm more frustrated with, because I want to know, like, okay, well, how did you get that from this current, like, the information you have present here at the time? How did you get that information and understanding? But when they'll sometimes do that, and then they'll go back and actually show you and check and be like, oh, by the way, this is how I figured it out. Okay. Oh my god, Chad, I feel like I want to nap so badly. I gotta remind myself, don't nap, don't nap, don't nap, don't nap. don't do it. Don't do it. You'll throw off everything else. Just do not take a nap. Let me check something here real quick. Don't autoplay stuff. I need to check stuff. Okay, Dune Awakening Eula and stuff like that. That's fine. Oh, oh. Quite some negatives here. Posted. I'm tempted though, because I wanna play Dune Awakening. Yeah. Stretch such. Oh, you're right. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna get up and stretch. Oh, fuck. Ow. Oh. Oh. Actually felt really nice. What do you mean start on the Divinity series? what, what do you mean start? I'm caught up on all the Divinity series. I need to get to the new Divinity when it finally comes out. I'll be super curious. I'm going to be super curious if they're, like, what the storyline's going to be, where on the timeline it's going to be. That's the thing that's going to be curious. Will this be a post-Divinity 2, finally? Like, oh my god. I've been waiting for so long, because the end of Flames of Vengeance, you nuke the bitch. And it's fucking funny that her charred corpse being so salty that you nuked her is great. Hang on. Surely somebody has that ending, because it is funny. The first Divinity Original Sin 1 is a massive prequel. Divinity Original Sin 2 is a prequel sequel because it takes place before Divinity 2, but after Beyond Divinity. It's... The timeline is all over the place. The games don't go in chronological order. Divine Divinity is the start. Beyond Divinity, it takes place afterwards. Then you have... Oh, actually, no. If we want to go by the start, it would be Divinity Dragon Commander, then Divinity Original Sin 1, then Divine Divinity, Beyond Divinity, Divinity Original Sin 2? Yeah, that's right. Divinity Original Sin 2, then Divinity 2, you go Draconis, then Flames of Vengeance after. Oh, the huge. So the original Divine Divinity is a Diablo-style game, isometric RPG. Same with Beyond Divinity, same system. Divinity Dragon Commander is an RTS action RPG. Well, kind of. Action RTS, I guess, would be more accurate. Then you have Divinity Original Sin is a full-on isometric RPG system that you'd be much more familiar with in like Baldur's Gate 3 and things like that. Again, same company that made it, so, you know. But it had a really cool the Geo mod system where different effects you had would then combo off of things. Very, very fun spell system. And then Divinity 2 is actually a third-person action RPG. So they try different things all the time. It's quite hard to explain to someone about the Divinity series of how much of a mess it is, but oh well, quite a big development to get their game with Divinity. Yes. Yes. Divinity is a mess, for sure. but it's a fun mess. And the story is actually really interesting and intricate. And I like all of the, like, the way it weaves in and out. And there's even characters that show up in multiple entries that it's a lot of fun. Hang on. Do you have the full ending? The Lizardman Empire is massive. That's her being a salty bitch. Then we go into the Hall of Memories. Oh, they try new things all the time. No, that blow up exploding barrels behind Mooks came from Divinity, the Divinity series. That was a staple there. This is Damien's lover, who he tricks you into resurrecting in Divinity in Divinity 2, and then in Flames of Vengeance, you're like, bitch, I'm gonna show you what happens when you fuck with a dragon. And you go kill her again. You're like, you know how you tricked me into resurrecting her? I'm gonna fucking send that bitch right back to the afterlife. So in Flames of Vengeance, you kill her and release the Divine. And that's why I'm curious on anything coming after Divinity 2. By the way, these two wizards are great. They're both fucking great. Zandelor is just fun, and Belagar is infamous. Belagar is the rhyming, the mad rhyming mageling. Right? Like, everything he does is always in rhyme, all the time. Everything. He can't speak normally. It's fucking great. He's so much fun. Man, you can tell how old the game is too, just because again, face stuff. And there we are. Obviously you play the dragon. Like, peace, I'm out, bitches. Like all the bullshit I had to deal with, I'm out. Oh yes, the cat is important. Got to. One of the best parts in Divinity 2, and again, you can actually have you can actually murder a skeleton merchant by having him think through, like, the existential, like, dread, or the existentialness nature of his existence. If skeletons actually question their existence, they will die. It's fucking great. Hang on, let's see. Yes. That is a part of it. If you get a skeleton to question their existence, it will kill them. So a lot of So a lot of skeletons turn into mindless monsters so they don't think. Because thinking will actually cause them to stop existing. If they think about their existence. Like, I don't want to fall apart from too much existential thought. But here.
Creatures from this broken dale, fear now all my magic gale, and know the greatest mage by far is the mighty Belagar!
Yeah, they're technically an entire race.
Not yet. Weaklings!
I hate how strong the warrior is. Warrior is just so stupidly strong in Divinity 2. The balance was all fucked. Warrior was incredible. Warrior was absurd.
Sorcery by amateurs is often tragic. They have no clue how to properly use magic. Fire, storm, and deadly blast. That, my friend, is how you cast.
Belagar, no one so erratic should be so powerful.
By the way, she's not fucking kidding about how powerful he is. He is absurdly strong. Belagar is probably the most powerful spellcaster in the entire setting. And like, but he's such a fucking eccentric weirdo. He's great. Yes. The belief that they should exist the way they are is what keeps skeletons alive. If they think too much on their existence, that's what kills them. Hold on a second. Here we go. This is what started this whole thing of the skeletons.
Hey, look, it stands to reason you can't eat because you don't have a stomach.
Aha, so how can we speak? We don't have no vocal cords either. Answer that, Mr. Clever.
Yeah, you're right, you know. I mean, if you think about it, we don't have no muscles or flesh on our bones either. So, what keeps us together, sort of thing, huh?
Best not to think about it. I don't want to fall to bits because of excess existential thought. Nasty.
And again, you can do that in Divinity 2. You can do that in, I think, every Divinity game with skeletons. No. Yeah, here we go. So, Divinity 2, there's a merchant skeleton here.
But do not be alarmed. I wish you no harm, and I do not wish to die. So let us just talk.
You said you do not wish to die, but how can that even happen to a skeleton?
Oh no, don't go there. I've heard of living skeletons like me that fell apart because of an excess of existential thought.
Think about it, though. You don't even have the flesh to keep them bones together.
Please, just stop it. Nothing good can come of this.
And your voice, where does that come from?
No more, I beg of you. Not another word.
Not to mention your ability to reason. You have no brains.
No, it can't be. This cannot be happening.
So yeah, you can just straight up murder a merchant by having him think too much on his existence. Oh. No. And I know you can do it. Again, they have a full quest, Existential Crisis, in Divinity Original Sin 2. So, I do enjoy that they keep bringing that joke back. But yes, that is why they have those moments. Please tell me they're dead after this. Yes, they go to the Hall of Memories. Skeletons are the embodiment of don't think about it in Divinity. Yes. Only this one is actually in character, in universe, actually, like, don't think about it. We can exist because of a loophole. Don't think about it beyond that. If you start thinking about it, you're gonna fall apart. It'll be bad. That's why skeletons are considered their own race. It gets supremely complicated. The lore for Divinity is very complicated. Don't think about it, just enjoy it. Yeah. But like I said, that's why a lot of skeletons turn into mindless berserkers, because they don't want to think about it. I really hate these videos here. I'm going to show you this. Hold on a second. It's not like this. Your life as a pleasure slave. Worse than a slave! I hate these fucking videos. I hate they exist. Yeah, so originally in Divinity 2, we were actually supposed to interact more with the Lizardmen Empire, but they had to cut the Lizardmen from Divinity 2 just for budget reasons. Divinity 2 is what I started calling... It's funny because you always had like JRPGs and Western RPGs. Divinity 2 was one where I can 100% call it a European RPG. And it's hard to, like, define it, but you know it when you play it. You're like, oh yeah, this is a European RPG for sure. 100%. Plus, there's an entire mechanic in Divinity 2, and I love this so much. There's an entire mechanic that will fuck you over unless you level it all the way up to remove the cost on it. But you can mind read everything. You can mind read every NPC. Or try to. Some people will know you've done it and they'll reward you for trying. Because like, oh, that's cute. You're trying to look into my mind. Well, here you go. Here's some skill points you can use. Others will get angry at you. Sometimes you can complete quests instantaneously because now you know the secret sauce and things like that. Like, but you sacrifice experience points to do so. So you can gimp yourself, you can de-level yourself by mind reading people, which is funny as fuck. It is useful in Baldur's Gate 3, but there are clearly certain NPCs that are flagged as being useful. You know? Like when you do the murders in the church, and once you get to the city of Baldur's Gate, then that NPC, when you like do the father and everything like that, that works. European RPG. Grim, sometimes wacky, but at the same time realistic. again, it's hard to explain. Like, Western RPG, you know what that is when you play it. A JRPG, everybody knows what a JRPG is. A Euro jank or a Slav jank RPG, people know what that is because that's a fucking experience and a half. But a European RPG is very... Like, it just has a vibe to it. You know it when you play it. You're just like, oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, this was made by the Europors for sure. you just know. You know it. Yeah, so Divinity 2 was a very not balanced game. Like, at all. Divinity, Gothic, Witcher, oh yeah. Witcher 1 specifically. But yeah, Divinity 2 was not a balanced game whatsoever. So you could actually get into a situation where, like in the end game, you would get killed instantaneously by a 100% hit spell. There's no way to dodge it. You can only have damage negation to protect yourself. But if you didn't have it, and you didn't level in a specific way, it was just a one-shot, and you were instantly dead. And they didn't think that through. Which is just funny to me. It's just funny, because it's just one of those, like... Ah, yes, a non-dodgeable spell. Ah, great. Ah. And the worst part is it stun locks you when you hit with it, because it hits you 3 times, and your character screams for each hit. He's like, ooh, ah. It's like, fuck. Oh, hang on a second. Hang on, wait. Do you have the full thing? Do you have the thing at the end? Oh, okay. Yeah, here we go. All right. So this is what I want to show you. How Divinity 2 Flames of Vengeance starts. So basically they're casting all the stuff to protect the city. I want to jump to the part that's just so funny to kind of like symbolize how goofy this game can be at times. So we get teleported out of the Hall of Memories. We're going to be saved by this specter. And this is what we get. That is not added after the fact. That is actually in the game. Oh, that is actually in the game. I wonder why it sounds like a Terminator theme. I wonder why. Did you not notice that we came out of a bubble like it was the fucking Terminator movie? In the Terminator pose, no less. I just love the characters like, what? What? Oh, come here, over here. Dragon, over here. Come here, dragon. Come here. We need your help. Over here. Over here. Oh, my God. Yes. Oh, I was so mad. Grindus was here for that when we were trying to actually go from Divinity 2 into Flames of Vengeance. And it crashed all the time. I couldn't play Flames of Vengeance. I was so fucking sad. Hang on, let's see. Okay. Yeah, so Dragon Commander's first. I was right. I'm checking the timeline to make sure. Yeah, Dragon Commander was first. Then we go into Dragon Commander. Oh my god, I didn't realize Dragon Commander was 8,800 AR, and then Divinity Original Sin is 4 AR. Good god. Yeah, so Divinity Dragon Commander is way back in the past. Divinity Original Sin then comes in. Then Divine Divinity. Then Beyond Divinity. Oh. No, that makes sense. I said that right. Where I said Beyond Divinity, then Divinity Original Sin 2. I think I said that. I hope I did. Divinity Fallen Heroes. Then we have Divinity 2, the Dragon Knight Saga, going into Divinity Flames of Vengeance. Divinity 2 Flames of Vengeance. No, what happens was, in Dragon Commander, they nuke technology. So once the war is won, the Emperor, the Dragon Emperor, like, time deletes all the technology, which makes the Goblin very fucking sad. Hang on, wait. I gotta show you that ending. Because the Goblin is so fucking sad. Like, when you delete all the technology. He just has the biggest tears.
And so it was that after long last, Sigurd's son, the prince they had called a bastard, became Emperor of Rivellon. Peace descended upon the battle-scarred realm. And
look at him.
each and every...
He's so sad. He's so sad. This is your goblin engineer who's been helping you build all these things. He's so sad.
war machine was duly destroyed. No longer did demonic technology hold sway, and the world became one of harmony once more. Harmony between magic and nature. As for Maxos, grateful his friend had secured his father's...
Yes, Grindus is correct. Dragon Commander is so far in the past, the Lizardmen are ruled by the House of Law as opposed to the House of War in later series. Yep.
Legacy, he knew this would be the beginning of a new age. That of Dragon Knights.
Yep. Again, this is before they start trying to do the genocide against the dragons and everything. No. It's not all technology. It's demonic technology. That was the problem. All of this stuff you see here is demon tech. This is all being fueled by demonic technology. He gets rid of that. That's what you snap out of existence because you destroy the Raven. The Raven is the big demon. Oh, you have no idea. You have no idea how vast Divinity's lore is. Yeah, it's unnatural tech. Yeah, literally the Raven is what gives you the technology. And the Raven is a demon. Bad, very bad demon. Very, very bad demon. Yes. Because remember, the House of War... How to put this the right way? Yeah, the Raven is obsessed with deals that are monkey's paws every time. Every single time. It is designed to fuck you over. That's why all of his brothers and sisters, because you kill the other siblings that are vying for the throne. That's how it works. You're literally killing all the siblings. The funny part about you as a character is because you're mixed blood. Yeah, Daddy got with a dragon and made you're considered a bastard child. And the other siblings get corrupted by the deals made with Raven and make all this demonic technology. You manage to imprison Raven aboard the flagship after the same name. And you start your crusade to kill all of your siblings and take the throne for yourself. Because they decided to fuck with the dragon. And you're like, I'm going to show you how much that's a mistake. The dragon purge happens later because of the corruption of Source. That gets into a whole other fucking thing. Yeah, that's fair. That's true. Maxos did do it. That's fair. But Maxos works directly for you. You know what I mean? It's kind of... Yeah, no, Maxos is the one that actually imprisoned him. But you can actually make deals with Raven if you want in the game. Don't do it. You can. But, yeah, not a good idea. Yeah, then the Purge of the Dragons happens later. That's when you get the Dragon Slayers and everything like that. You actually start as a Dragon Slayer in Divinity 2, but then eventually become a full-on Dragon Knight yourself. So you become a dragon. And the reason the Purge was able to be successful was because of how fucked the Source was by that point, because Divinity Original Sin 2. Right? Divinity Original Sin 2 kind of showed, like, Source has now become completely fucking corrupted. Void is trying to take it back, which is what the original sin was that the Source was stolen from the Void, which is why the Void is constantly, like, talking about, like, give it back, thieves, upstarts, usurpers. Like, there's all kinds of reasons why they're calling you that, and that's because you stole it. Yes, that's true. The lizards are still my favorite characters in that. Just funny. I don't know why, though, they made the lizard... Okay, so hang on. You need to see this. Alright, so I'm going to show you the lizardmen. Because you get to see a few of them, right? So... And there's a reason I'm showing this. Because the princess bothers me. So here's what the lizardmen looked like. Like, there's the male, female, and then the princess is... Oh. Wow, I didn't realize it was going to be that low quality. Hold on a second. Try that again. There we go. The princess. I don't know why they made her so different. I don't get why they made her so different from the others. It was very strange. I don't get it. But she's actually got a fun storyline of, like, dealing with corruption and things like that. Well, big old titties are best. I mean, look, see, look, them big old tibbies. Big old tatas. Right? And then, of course, what you might be more familiar with. Here's like some of the looks of them. And then obviously I've shown the Red Prince because we talked about the Lizard Man armor for the thing that was like what made me guess on the statue that had something to do with divinity was because of the Lizard Man armor that the Red Prince wears. Might be our best thing here, but yeah. And his armor. Yeah, females get the long necks. They have the long, long necks. Yes. As Grinders points out, her storyline for the Lizard Princess is, are you following the spirit of the law or the letter of the law? Yep. As you can tell, the females are long and lanky. They're very slender. And the males are bulky. Like, again, the males are strong for good reason. Dude, give it up. They announced New Vegas 2 at the show. Remember, I don't know how people thought that had anything to do with Fallout. That's the part that was like, what? Like, are you like looking at anything on that? Are you sure? Where Booba? I know. We lost the Booba. But there are mods that bring the Booba back, so, you know. So, you know. Yeah, thank fuck that this is, like, they don't give a shit about that, and they're like, no, there are two sexes. And they are different, and they have different, like, benefits to them. I also like the Red Prince's, like, voice actor and everything. That was the wildest part about... So... The way that Divinity Original Sin 2 worked was they weren't sure because they had so much dialogue and stuff like that in the game. They weren't sure if they were ever going to have it voiced. And then at the like last hour, like 2 or 3 months before the game released, there was something like, bam, voice acting. Everything will be voice acted. Every single thing will have voice acting. Like right before release. And everyone's just like, whoa, whoa. And we got stuff like this. This is fucking great. I love the Red Prince.
Famed, of course, for my unique red skin and unparalleled skills as a general of the House of War, I, the Red Prince, was raised within the vast palaces of the fabled Forbidden City. I was destined to become the next emperor. But my ambitions suffered a bit of a setback when I fell from grace for cavorting with demons. Now, I'm exiled and hunted by assassins. But I assure you, I remain undaunted and as determined as ever to claim my rightful throne.
I love his theme song, too. So, Red Prince has a good theme song. What's it called? The Queen's... Was the Queen's Own or something like that? The Queen's High Seas. That's what it was. So, I think, yeah. I'm not sure what the Fallen Heroes game will be like. We just know bits and pieces of it because, they kind of teased us, right? What I'm curious on will be when is the new Divinity set? Who are we focusing on? What area are we focusing on? Like, it doesn't look like, from what we saw, it's not... From what we saw, it's not going to be in the Lizardman Empire. But it could be. I mean, you could go all over the place. Who fucking knows? I gotta go to the bathroom. Sorry, the thing is kicking in on me. Hold on. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'm gonna get my stuff put in the air fryer for some food. But then we'll listen to these two songs. Well, they haven't put a 3 on it or anything like that. Like, I don't think we've gotten any new information, right? AI overview. I don't fucking care. And they got a full new logo for it and everything. So I'm hoping it'll be after Flames of Vengeance because I want to see the storyline continue, right? I like filling in all the history stuff, like getting all the cracks and everything filled in, but I want to see post like Divinity 2. I want to see what comes next, what happens after. But yeah, I will be RB. I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick, and then we'll listen to these two songs. That'll probably be it for the stream. Yeah. BRB. Oh, I'm back. I'm back. Sorry about that, chat. Oh. Okay, so I said we'll just do these two themes real quick. This one is the Red Princess theme. And I really, really like it. It's just like it just gives that good vibe of like a foreign military sort of thing, right? What's funny is just how like no, I'll save it. I hope we get to see more of the Lizardman Empire. I really do, because I am very intrigued. Just because Divinity Original Sin 2 dealt with a lot of the like scouring of the elves and stuff. Seems so peaceful and peaceable, like just a nice, calm thing. And then we get into the Red Prince, and there's a reason he was the thing. Shadow Prince theme is also good. I like the Shadow Prince theme too. I love this though. This drop. Like, this just feels so good when you hear this drop. When the Red Prince is actually scheming and things like that. And you realize how, like, domineering he actually is. Let's just say there's a reason the House of War is on top. The Red Prince is one of those things that's like, this is why they're on top. I am the spouse of the sun. Even more so when you realize the prophecy and everything, right? What happens if the Red Prince and the Red Princess lay together and they have offspring? I understand the Shadow Prince's, like, I understand his perspective, right? I get what he's saying. That it'll just cause an alliance of everything to come against the Lizardman Empire and stuff like that. But I just gotta say, tough fucking shit. We're bringing the dragons back. tough fucking shit. And I love that that's what the Lizardmen are. That the Lizardmen are the dragons that chose to walk amongst the lesser races. And they have forgotten that was their bloodline, that their origins. And then it was the Red Prince, the entire like thing with him is uncovering that the origins of the Lizardman race. And undoing that descending to be an ascension of the race back to its former glory. Very fun. Very fun. Meanwhile, Beast has his theme. Yes. The gods of each of the races are considered quite to be dickheads For sure, as you discover while playing Divinity Original Sin 2. Not so amongst, what with slavery and all. But this is a setting where that's like, yeah, par for the course. Again, it becomes that whole thing we talk about in Anti-Boy Scout. I've talked about it in my books as well. Like, Marax is basically saying there's nothing morally wrong with slavery when it comes to races that have distinct actual differences. When you have, like, if the dragons enslaved people, there's not a moral justification against it. Because they are lesser. However, he then goes on to say there are economical and like feasibility and advancement arguments against it. If the moral argument no longer holds, you have all these other reasons you shouldn't do it. That it is in fact a noose held around your neck and you're just waiting for the thing to tip over and, you know, bite back. The 7 aren't good, but they aren't demons either. Yeah. Like I said, they're dickheads. The 7 are absolutely dickheads. But they're not the demons. And I actually like that the 7 aren't... They're depicted as more, like, realistic in that sense, right? They feel more real in that they are a bit of, like, arrogant dickheads. But they're not evil. They're just pieces of shit. Obey us or else. Anyways, this is Beast's theme. Beast is the dwarf. He was a was he nephew? Fuck. What was he to the queen? Was he the nephew or was he the cousin? I think it was cousin. Now that I think about it. I think he's the queen's cousin and he's a privateer. Or was a privateer and then shit happened. But this is his theme. I can't remember. I know he's related, but I thought it was more separated. My cousin, the queen. Okay. Cousins. They are cousins. Beast theme is really good. I like it a lot. It is a bunch of fun. I don't want the extended version of that one. Hold on a second. Everybody wants to do the extended version. Okay. Then you've got Mead Golden Blood, which is a fawn, the lone wolf. It's his theme. These are what I think are the 3 best themes. His story, I feel bad for him. I really do. Like, you're told by God, the divine, to, like, you can go save the elves, and it turns out you were actually the trigger to trigger all the death fog that killed off the elves. Like, so the divine lied to you. Just, oh. I get fully why he wants to kill the divine so badly now. Well, he loved the elves. They raised him. He was one of the best assassins in the Divine's army. Oh yes, they do eat people. Yes, this is the Divinity series. The elves eat people. But he respected them immensely. And the Divine told him he could save them if he ran. So he ran, and it turns out he was actually the trigger for the death fog. Yeah. He got played. The Shadow Prince's theme. Technically, it's the case in Elder Scrolls as well because of the Wood Elves and the Green Pact. I really do love the Shadow Prince as a character, but I just think he's wrong. I wish there was a way to bring him around to be like, no, who fucking cares? You know, if bringing the dragons back, bringing our bloodline back is the end of the Lizardman race, then we had a good run. Let's ride into the sunset into that glorious dawn. But no, you can't convince him. He is so hell-bent to stop the prophecy. Like I said, I understand his perspective entirely. I just think he's wrong. Plus, using your newborn hatchling son as a battle summon is fucking hilarious. Because little baby dragon has little baby dragon powers, which is terrifying to behold. Excuse me. And then this is the song that players of the game, if you play Divinity Original 2, you get familiar with quite a lot, but it's a banger, so thankfully it's really good. Welcome to the Symphony of the Void. Yep. This is the theme for when you fight, when you're in big battles with the Void. This is the song that plays. Divinity Original 2 has so many bangers for its soundtrack, it's great. Like I said, I'm super glad that they nailed so many of them. Borislav Slavov did a fantastic job with Divinity Original Sin 2. Genuinely so. He did a fantastic job. Whoops. Anyways, chat. Thank you all so much for tuning in. It is greatly appreciated. Hope you guys take care. Have a fantastic day. Stay safe and healthy. Get figure ripped. This Saturday, I'm not sure what movie we should do. I'm kind of thinking of doing a fun, campy spookum movie like Freddy vs. Jason or something like that. Just something fun and dorky for Saturday. I think that would be nice. Be like, ring in the new year with something like silly, you know? But yeah. In the meantime, though, chat, I want to say thank you all so much for being here, as always, and I will catch you tomorrow. Bye-bye for now, everyone.